one.
Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As the raw rises where the stars align, restoring the wisdom lost in time. Two stars rose in the dawning light. Nikki and Abigail lies on the night. Charting the heavens, the constellations true. Not bound by illusion, but by what's in view. But they whispered of summer, of gods in the flame, of Banana and Inky who called them by name. Through shadows of dogma, they carry the spark. Guided by starlight to rekindle under the real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As the raw rises where the stars align, restoring the wisdom lost in time. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As the raw rises where the stars align, restoring the wisdom lost in time. Yeah. Maps redrawn where the cosmos spins through silence and science. Their song begins, no longer chained to the seasons, the skies. They brought back the truth in the watcher's eyes. The circle was broken, the truth made whole. With courage and reason, they honored the soul. For those who would seek what the ancients knew, the real sky speaks and the stars shine. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As the raw rises where the stars align, restoring the wisdom lost in time. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As the raw rises where the stars align, restoring the wisdom lost in time. Through cuneiform echoes and lunar signs, through Babylon's gates and forgotten lines, they lifted the veil with a steady hand. To see is reborn to reclaim the land. Under the real sky, the vision's clear. The sidereal call for all to hear. As I rising with radiant mind, truth reborn in the ancient light. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Under the real sky, under the real sky,
Welcome everyone to episode 4 of Sidereal Rising. I am here with an amazing panel of astrologers from different walks of life in different countries, all kinds of cool stuff. We are going to be having a roundtable today about the Neptune-Saturn or Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Not sure if there's a way that one should go before the other. I'm not sure if there's a preferred way there. So I'm going to let everybody here give a little introduction about themselves. First, I'm going to go to Nikki, since she's my normal co-host. So, Nikki, did you want to?
Yeah, welcome everyone. If you're joining us for the live, that's super awesome. I'm Nikki. I'm here with Abby every single week on this channel. We talk about the stars and the current alignments. We are doing a lot with the ISAA. We have another journal that we're going to be publishing this spring. So we are looking for submissions. We have a lot already, and it's pretty awesome. So the fact you guys are participating, and it's super cool. We have a lot more of these awesome workshops and discussions lined up. So yeah, I won't bore you with too much of what I have to say. You guys see me every week. So
yeah, you can find everything on the siderealinternational.org website. All the events are there. You can register for all the upcoming workshops and everything. We've got the Saturn-Neptune conjunction workshop this coming Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we're probably all going to be there for that too. So definitely register, completely free to attend. You won't get to watch the replay unless you're an ISAA member, but otherwise, check it out. Michael, you're next on the top list here on my screen anyways. Why don't you go next?
All right. Just an introduction, just like, hey, sure. I'm Michael, and I'm a geocentric astrologer from United States, and I have a website at skyastro.com. You can check out my work and my approach, and I'm just honored to be here. Thank you.
Don, how about you? You're muted though. Don, can you hear me?
I think he froze up on.
Okay, Beth, how about you?
Oh, wait,
you're next. No, he's still muted. Beth, do you want to go next while he figures out his tech stuff?
Sure. I'm Beth Hansen, and I'm a certified true sidereal astrologer. I studied with Ike Rodriguez last year, and I've been all in on this true sky stuff since October of 2024. And I am super excited to be here on this beautiful snowy day in Minnesota. So it's all windy and snowy outside, but it's really warm in here. And I have a group called Zodiac Club 13 on School. That's SKOOL.com, the best social space to learn. And so there's members in there talking about true sidereal astrology. And I also offer individual readings through my website. I am also a artist, and that's one of my paintings back there. And those can be found at my website, harmonygoddess.com. And you can follow me on YouTube at Harmony Goddess Astrology.
Awesome. And where it is hopefully not snowing over there in Thailand, Fran, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hopefully not. I always said when it starts snowing here, I will move back to Switzerland, and I really don't want to move back there. So please. Yeah. So as you all know now, I'm living in Thailand, but I am originally from Switzerland, and I'm a heliocentric sidereal astrologer, and I do a lot of research. I have a big website with a lot of information, and working on some projects and do all kind of stuff. Not as many personal readings though.
Okay. Am I still muted? No, I'm not still muted. Don, I think your microphone might have been tripping out a little bit again. I don't know what's going on. Does anybody else hear it now? It was for a second, but then it kind of dipped out. You guys hear it? Don, say something. Can we hear you? Don? He's definitely frozen. Okay. We'll try again in a little bit. All right. Well, I don't know if you guys know, but Neptune and Saturn are conjunct, or is today the day? Is it like the one? Because I keep a whiteboard when I'm doing things, and technically I consider the conjunction basically at the mid 2025, and then but feeling some of that information or any of those energetic changes earlier in the year, maybe like at the beginning of 2025. So I know everybody calculates things a little bit differently. Fran, you look at it from a heliocentric standpoint. Don, can you hear me now? Don? No? Don. Okay, I can hear his when he jumps on.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear us? And then he's muted.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, Fran, why don't we start with you? Why do you want to give us a take on how you see this conjunction? Because if I'm not mistaken, from a heliocentric point of view, we already had the conjunction too. Am I correct?
Yes, exactly. We had it, with my zodiac I'm using and so on, it was on 12th of December last year, the conjunction, and there was only one. Yeah, so because heliocentric, there is no such thing like as retrogrades. It doesn't exist. And so because of that, there is only one conjunction. So.
Okay.
That is super.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. That's another thing about heliocentric astrology that I forgot, because I'm like, okay, get rid of the nodes, get rid of the moon, get rid of these things. You're right. Retrogrades are something we only experience here on Earth, where it appears that it's moving backwards.
Yes, exactly.
You know, in our conversation, we had been talking about how it had come to a complete conjunction already in December. And I know that that's when everybody was really dealing with a lot of oh God, stuff. You know, I think it was middle of December. Everybody I knew had something going on, myself included. So it was really a tough time. And that makes so much more sense that we would get, you know, a sneak peek at the energies before they actually hit the earth, before we can understand them. Is like heliocentric is pretty cool when you're looking at, I don't know, the future, right? You can do some pretty cool predictive techniques with it.
You can do that with any kind of astrology. Yeah, it's always your intention, what you want to see in it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not really about predictions in this sense, yeah. But I use it to research cycles and see, you know, I always call that the Russian doll principle. Yeah. So the fractality, and you have always the small in the bigger, in the bigger, in the bigger, right? And so I like to research these cycles and how it moves and the geometry it forms. And that gives me an idea about the underlying energy that is there, so we can feel it, and the details we add with other positions, with other planets or asteroids and so on. But the bigger picture we get from those let's say outer layers or longer distance view onto things. So that's how I do. And then yeah, it's interesting when you have, for certain times we have historical data, and but for some we don't, because it's just too long ago and we have no, in this sense, recorded history, or it may have been altered in understanding. There may be some records, but we don't know how to interpret them. So yeah, and so for that we can't really take that one-to-one, because also every conjunction, everything around it looks different, and the consciousness of the people as well. So even if we have the same, we may perceive it differently because we changed.
That is true. Society and cultures change, and our interpretation of the planets and even the signs have changed. We've seen that over the last few hundred years. It's kind of interesting to watch culture shift and watch it change. And that's exactly like what this Saturn-Neptune reset really does, is reset civilization. It's totally global. We're seeing these changes like all over the world. And I think it's so incredibly interesting. We got a taste of it when we saw the Jupiter-Saturn, conjunction and Pluto reset. We got a taste of what that really is. And then now to see the Saturn-Neptune happening, it's like, whoo, this is heating up. It's heating up.
When you just mentioned this, it's maybe interesting to know that, so as I said, on 12th of December, we had the heliocentric conjunction of Saturn with Neptune. And today, actually, we have the first sextile exact between Saturn and Pluto. So that is pretty interesting to happen right now.
Yeah, it is. I know. Well, and we have the eclipse, window happening. Everything is, I'm a sensitive person, so I'm already like, it feels weird, you guys. Does anybody else feel weird? With all of these energies colliding, it's been really, really interesting. And I really feel like Neptune's influence has been like super strong. People are really wanting to escape reality. They're using any means possible. I mean, they're just kind of like, let's get stuck in the phone. Let's just get stuck in escape reality a little bit, or change reality a little bit. The whole talk about reality, I've seen other astrologers on YouTube see it changing and shifting, and it just becoming distorted. How we see reality now, which I think it may be a Piscean influence. I'm not quite sure how to dissect it. I'm not quite sure. I can look at things separately, but to pull them all together, I'm struggling a little bit.
I think there is, when we talk about reality, there is for sure Aries has some influence there, but also when you look at where this conjunction takes place, it's just over the South Galactic Pole, and so there has let's say the rotation axis of the whole galaxy is involved, and so there is Neptune is also dissolving, right? So there are some boundaries, and how we may see reality is dissolving, and so that can be pretty scary. And so maybe for people who are more in tune with these things or more observative of these things, they are more sensitive to it and see more of these subtle shifts taking place also in relation to their own feelings, because Neptune to me is also like the inner cell phone, or how we want to call it, right? And so there is, to me, there is a lot of relationship there going on, and a new foundation. Yeah.
So I'm going to just pipe in here for a minute, because I just wanted to share with everyone that I do have my Saturn return exactly right now. My natal Saturn is at 10 degrees of Pisces. And and I'm just looking at the True Sky chart over here, and today Saturn is at 10 degrees of Pisces, and then it'll move to the 11th on the 20th, and that's when we're going to have the 11-11 conjunction. I don't know how much you can put numerology into it, since this is a new system, but hey, why not? Numbers are numbers, and it's how we perceive things, right? So having Saturn in Pisces natally, I've always been a dreamer. I've always had big dreams, basically an inner landscape that I can go to at any time during meditation, and that's just always been a part of my life. And I think a lot of people are going to be confronted with, oh, how real are my dreams? How real are my inner landscapes? How do I start paying attention to this? So, I see this as a real opportunity for people to shift their perspective and take up, either add to or take up a meditation practice of some kind, where you're going inward and you're experiencing what is in your imagination, because it's so powerful. And also to experience the arts. This is an incredible time to get out there and see some live shows, and whether it's music or plays or dance or something interactive, something that isn't fake. I think that's what Saturn is saying. Don't do the VR right now. Go see actual humans doing things, or be a human going out and doing things, expressing yourself. Take up a dance class. This is time to bring that expressive, dreamlike quality into your body, and to really ground it. And that's how you make your dreams come true, is you have to ground it in reality. Because I could live in my head forever and be completely happy. I know that about myself, but I have to ground it in reality to bring it into being. And that can be a challenge sometimes, especially with that Neptune just totally putting the Pisces energy on overdrive, and just saying, let's just go deeper and deeper and deeper into the dream. And we're like, no, Saturn is there to say, let's take what we can from the dream and bring it up to the surface, and then see what we can carry with us, because Saturn's going to be leaving Pisces first. And whatever dreams we are bringing up to the surface right now during this conjunction, that's what we're going to be carrying with us as Pisces eventually transits into Aries in the geocentric version of astrology, which is what I practice. So, yeah, it's been a real time for me to explore this stuff. And to be honest, this is my second Saturn return. During my first Saturn return, I took up tarot. So I literally am taking these spiritual technologies and using it to, I know people who are full on psychic mediums and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I got to have the framework, or I'm going to get lost in that dream and I'm not going to know what's real and what's not. So I even though I have the ability to channel, I don't do it for other people, because I've had so many psychic readers get me totally wrong. And like, just pull out your cards, it'll tell me the truth. Or pull up the astrology chart, which is even more precise. And you could go so deep in astrology, and you don't have, and there's an intuitive quality to it as well. I mean, I definitely, hit and ping on messages. And with True Sidereal, I really think the stars are speaking to us. When you're using the stars in their placements, they are singing to us here on Earth. And I absolutely love that about True Sidereal Astrology. And I see the planets as amplifiers. And it's a different type of amp. Some have a lot of different vibes that they put out. Some are more bass, some are more treble, some have some really interesting sound effects like Neptune does. But Saturn is super direct and is, occasionally percussion, just saying, come on, do the thing, get the thing done. Because Saturn is a taskmaster. Saturn is a timekeeper as well. Whereas Pisces is like, all time is now and it doesn't matter. And Saturn says it matters because we are in this 3D world and it connects us. And yeah, I always, everybody talks about Saturn as a he, but I had a lot of really strong, bitchy, bossy aunts when I was growing up. And yeah, no, that's Saturn energy right there, because you need to do this. And like, I don't
boss energy. Yeah.
Boss energy.
Boss energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saturn likes to fix things. Saturn wants to fix what's broken, and like, we're seeing it. It's pointing it all out. Like, hey, this is broke. Your religion's broke. Your systems are broke. Like, what are we going to do about it? Like, kind of in that purification process right now.
Absolutely.
And it can be painful or it can be beautiful. So
it's a little bit easier in Pisces because the water washes a lot of things away and soothes. Once you confront that thing, it gets washed away and you never find it again, because it's washed in the gigantic ocean in which of the universe, and you never see it again. You don't have to worry about it coming back around unless you start looking for it and start inviting it and go adrift yourself. And then you just let go of Saturn, you've let go of reality, and that's not a good thing. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out as Saturn continues on and begins to separate from Neptune, and where we start dealing with them as individuals rather than basically one multi-level voice and energy all combined all at once.
Well, maybe, the whole thing is going to be a little bit more fluid. I mean, I think we all had, experiences that time isn't so strict as we think that time should be, right? So the universe has its ways, right? And when you are too rigid in the thought of this very strict linear way, then you may be stuck in that. But on the other side, when you let it dissolve a little bit, let it go a bit, you gain a bit more of that fluidity, and suddenly things just, it doesn't change reality, but it may bend it a little bit, into your favor, hopefully.
I love that. I love that. Actually, Beth, when you bring that up, the last time Saturn went through Pisces, I started doing tarot and psychic readings, and I was like a kind of a traveling vagabond. I just kind of wandered around a lot and just did weird psychic stuff for a while and just met weird people I was supposed to meet. And it was quite the transit for me.
So it's like Saturn is dipping its toe in the land of groovy.
I love that. The land of groovy. That is so cute.
Don,
yes.
Can you hear me, Don?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're late getting you on. Do you want to give a
it's having tech glitch.
Yeah, I know.
The joys of living out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. I know.
I would take
you want to
anytime.
Tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and then maybe give us your take on this conjunction.
Love to. Thank you. My name is Don Patak, also known as Don Bird on Facebook and Instagram. I do freedom through astrology, so I'm reading True Sky Astrology. I use 13 signs, and I'm not going to get into all the details. I do work as a school librarian, so I do love doing my research. This is kind of fun stuff for me. I have studied with Isaac Rodriguez. I've also certified through Stephen Forrest Astrology. So I do evolutionary astrology, and your birth chart basically is who you came here to become. And when this whole Saturn-Neptune thing, when I'm looking at Saturn in transit, Saturn's about growth, maturity. What steps do you need to take to make the next step to grow up? Or where do you need to mature? Where do you need to develop? And with Saturn conjunct Neptune, when I was looking at that as like spiritual maturity, because Neptune in Pisces, Neptune loves Pisces. I've got another cat attacking me. I have 8 cats, and they will all randomly attack me. So just be prepared for that. Neptune in Pisces Neptune in Pisces is saying, be here, be now. Don't just do something, be present. Don't forget the future, forget the past. What are you doing right here, right now? Get your butt out of the camera, cat. My cats. So to me, this is a call for spiritual maturity. Where are you spiritually in your life? What do you need to do to grow up and to take that next step and to develop and to grow in that manner? To me, that's the ideal. Like, with your spiritual practices, I don't preach religion. That's for somebody else to do. But look at your own spiritual practices. Where do you need to grow and how? And Saturn's saying, let's do the work. Saturn to me says, if you do the work, I will reward you greatly. Jupiter, when I'm looking at Jupiter points out possibilities. Saturn says, okay, you know what you need to do. Let's do the work and I'll dump the money on you or whatever. So this, ideally for me, the ideal outcome here is spiritual growth and spiritual maturity. And it's going to look different for everyone what that is, because we're all on our own path. But the shadow here, one of the things I look at is like, okay, the ideal is that, but what's the shadow? If you miss the mark, what can this look like? And I was looking at that and thinking about that. Religious fundamentalism came to mind was one thing where you see, and I live in Trump country, so I see a lot of this where the fundamentalists are coming out in force in very many ways. That's one possible outcome where you're trying to impose your beliefs on other people. It's not going to work. And the other one that struck me was spiritual cynicism, agnosticism or even atheism. I have a student who's I work in a school 9 to 5. That's my day job. And a student is doing their senior thesis on religious freedom or something like that. And they're talking about how they don't believe in spirituality at all. It's okay. Down, Silky. They don't believe in spirituality at all and all the problems they have with it. And I was thinking that's definitely the shadow of this whole thing. So you've got too much or nothing at all. But ideally for me, I want to just loop it all down. This is a call for you to grow up spiritually, to look at your beliefs, look at your practices. Where do you need to grow and change and develop, and to take those steps and take those actions? I'll cut it off at that.
Michael, what about you? You got a take on it?
Can you ask me can you clarify that question? I mean,
sure. Do you a take on just the it sounds like everybody has a similar view on what the conjunction is bringing, but everybody's maybe approaching it from a slightly different angle. What angle might you be approaching that?
I get the question. So I think of this in a lot of the terms that have already been mentioned. I think, Dawn, I want to thank you for just mentioning that kind of like invitation to spiritual maturity. And tarot too is like the structure, the story of the abstract journey. It's like it's very Saturn-Neptune. My angle on this would kind of include all of the above, but I am I've been studying history cycles, and the Saturn and Neptune have a synodic period of 36 years. So that's the period between conjunctions. And they, in that 36 years, of course, they express their whole cycle. But I've just been looking, like one of the great things that you can do with, a search engine, or now that machine intelligence is kind of built into that, I guess you could like use a chat bot or AI. Your mileage may vary, but one thing that I do is I'll take a bunch of dates like, 2026 and going back 36 years. So 89, 53, 1917, back to 1882 and 1846. And I'll just ask a really open-ended question, like, are there any similarities between these periods of time if we look at activity all across the world, like the known body of recorded history? And this question about Saturn-Neptune, when we look at history and the patterns of it, we have revolution, and Saturn and Neptune are not known for revolution in and of themselves. That is a function that typically belongs to another, Uranus. But I've been kind of poring over like what happened in 1989, what happened in 53, what happened, in these, looking at like a period of time where they would have been in orb, Saturn and Neptune. So like in some cases 2 or 3 years at a time. And every single one of those, the commonalities that they have with each other is widespread, social revolution. So we're talking about and I have, that's not like I mean, you may find it a spurious claim because you may think, oh, revolution, that's Uranus, but I have a sizable bit of data to prove it, and I'm gonna focus on that in my next month's lunar cycle video. because that lunation, that new moon, happens very close to Saturn-Neptune. So this is all front and center right now. If you have questions about, if anyone has any questions about like the revolutions, I know a lot of people are tired of hearing about it. I've actually gotten the comment like, can't you talk about the spiritual potential instead of like society falling apart? But here's the thing: Saturn is the structures of society, and the glue that holds our bodies of ideas and our bodies of social code together. And Neptune is the universal solvent, water in her most oceanic form. And this really changes ideas and social structures. And somehow, like inevitably, like last time it happened in '89, the Berlin Wall fell. And if any of you know that history, that happened by accident. That was not supposed to happen. That was a clerical error. And by the time the people heard and rushed the wall, they were like, oh, fuck, let's let them in, because they were going to riot. And they came in and tore the wall down. Look it up. That was a clerical error. You just can't stop Saturn, Neptune from doing, like, it's a solvent. It will dissolve walls. It will dissolve boundaries. So I've been looking at it, Abby, from that kind of angle, focused on history, but with a lot of awareness to the spiritual evolution here, the spiritual potential, and the clarion call to balance idealism and realism, right? That's really what we're all sort of pressed to do here. Yeah, thanks.
I have a comment though, because you and Don are talking a lot about the same things, and we do have to take a look at religion and what religion has done to society, and what the proper structure is how to follow this religion. And that's, most of us have grown up with Christianity, in Christian homes of some form or another, and we're told this is the way you live. This is how you do it. And if you don't follow, these are going to be the consequences. And now we're seeing all of that kind of go away, because we see these structures kind of not suffering the consequences of their actions. These churches, these, religion and power authority structures, without, getting too deep into it, operating without accountability, without any sort of, checks and balances. So the people look at this and they think, well, has it been a scam all along? It gets people rethinking. So, I do get pushed back quite a bit. Like, Nikki, you're so negative when it comes to what's happening. And I'm like, I'm not really, actually. This is reality. These are the things we have to look at, because these are the things we're confronted with. And that's what Pisces is about, is confrontation. You have to look at a lot of different things. It's a prism, and there's so many different things happening all at once. And I can see how people are like, let's focus on the positive. And we definitely should. But there are these things that we need to confront, and it's going to take this most of this cycle to do that. This isn't going to be a quick fix and a quick, thing. It isn't a flash and it's gone.
Okay, so it's not going to be, because this involves Saturn. There will be delay, there will be process, there will be slowdown. But when we get into wanting to look over here and focus on what's good and what's positive, we don't want to hear about organized religion. Let's look over here. That's a Neptune reflex. That's escapism. And so it gets very complicated to tease it apart. Neptune, Saturn is organized religion. It is the two of them in combination. I mean, you could involve other, but Neptune and Saturn provides its own emphasis on organized religion. Like with Jupiter Neptune combination, you have the gospel of fucking Christ. Love God, love each other, have fun. Like 2 commandments, and the rest of it with Neptune Saturn conjunction, you see all the Pauline theology and every go to church. God's waiting. He's watching. He's got his shotgun. He's got a scope. You don't put a scope on a shotgun. But what I'm saying is he's in the clouds and he's going to shoot you if you do wrong. That's all. That all came later. Like actually, these religious, and that's just to pull a dichotomy, a polarity out of Christianity, modern Christianity. We can draw the same things. Like the Buddha said, don't make a religion out of my words, this path. Don't ever make a religion out of this. This is about you. Don't build a statue of me. Look in the mirror. Don't paint my picture. He wouldn't let anyone. He was like, this is a meditative journey. Forget my name. Go on the journey. You don't get that when you combine Neptune and Saturn. You get the dogma and the structure of dogma. Unfortunately, I see more of an emphasis there. So, Nikki, I hear what you're saying, and I hear it, but I don't think it's out of place. I think it's actually right on time and doing fine. This is what we're here to confront, and we see this emphasis on social revolution now in the United States, heavy emphasis on Christian nationalism and propping up political violence. Absurd, ironic, mutually exclusive as the advice to be good to the stranger, be good to the neighbor is for an organization trying to enforce mass immigration crackdowns and the way they are. I mean, it's just apples and orange fucking soda. Like you can't, it's just two different things. But we're not really seeing like a genuine with Saturn-Neptune. We're not really seeing like a genuine renaissance of that like raw, pure spirit. But Saturn gets into structures and forms. So I think that's part of all this, actually navigating the structures and forms. Doesn't mean being stuck in them or caught in them, but they're front and center. So we can examine the difference between the gospel of Christ and the gospel of Paul. And for example, at this time, I think those are maybe angles that could yield a lot of insight for Christians, maybe.
So maybe we can look at the whole thing a little bit from a different angle, in the sense of, it hurts because the shoe is too small now, and so we have to change the shoe, right?
Yeah.
So it will stop hurting. So it's
I think that's what all the social revolutions are about, Fran. They're like, this doesn't fit anymore. Let's throw it off. Let's kill these people. Let's bring in some new people, a bigger size. We're growing. Let's do it. I love that. I think you hit it 100. That's absolutely what's going on.
I also want to mention that Neptune and Saturn aren't doing this in isolation, because they are sextile Pluto and Uranus. So they are, that energy is flowing between them. And of course, that means Pluto and Uranus are trying each other. And those are both in Earth signs. So I think that's really interesting, because that's why things are actually happening on the ground. This isn't just a conversation. These aren't just ideas. These aren't just philosophies. These are, hey, wait a minute. We need to fix our dialogue and how we transmit data. We need to literally tear buildings down and build up new ones.
Yeah, the physical landscape is changing. Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure. And just hearing the idea that fixed borders are never fixed. They're always changing throughout history. Borders are human constructs. They are not, and yes, there are cultures that grew within them. But now that we've got this global culture and we're able to connect with other people globally, I really see this as, okay, now what are you going to do with that? With that, just that strong sense of this is being, how this is happening is through earth and water. The waters of Pisces, the earth of Capricorn, the earth of Taurus.
Yeah,
And
a lot of these changes are super emotional, and a lot of people aren't used to having to check in, you know. They've had a lot of different outlets to check out with, and now they have to dial it back in. And reality seems a little wonky. Tons of people come to me, they're like, what is going on? Why doesn't it feel like real anymore?
That's another Saturn-Neptune thing.
Yeah.
Strange reality. Yeah. Mandela effect, UFOs, strange news, Fortean times kind of stuff. Like, I don't know.
I see that slightly differently. I know, because we were talking about Neptune. I don't personally subscribe to the idea that Neptune is inherently it's illusory or brings illusions. I think there is more of a magical aspect to it, where maybe we can see maybe there's some of that. But I just haven't seen it play out in the individual's life, so it's hard to see it also on a larger scale. But that said, when we talk about people seeing reality or not being able to see reality, I see the exact opposite, you guys. I see people for the first time in human history are getting the horrors of war right in front of their face. They're seeing for the first time all of the atrocities being committed by the government. This veil of illusion is actually being stripped away. And now people are being confronted with a very dark, cold reality that has been happening all along. It's not anything new, but they're finally seeing it. So, and I do think that the conjunction, it plays a very large role in that process. I take a slightly different, I know we all kind of agree to some extent, and, you know, it varies on the specifics, but I have found Neptune to be very much a technological planet. I also think that Saturn represents society and the social structures, the tribe, the community, the marketplace, and, you know, basically civilization. When those two get together, depending on where they are, they do seem to tie in technical revolutions that change the face of the landscape, as you guys were saying. I think in Pisces in particular, though, it brings a much more how would I say that? I use the term spirituality loosely here because I know and if you look at the charts of, not you guys, I'm sure you've all done this, but, you know, anybody watching, if you go and you look at the charts of a lot of the physicists and classical artists, these people, they have really, really good left brain, right brain integration. And they talk about things intuitively, but they're not using it in like a woo psychic standpoint. They're using it from like, no, I'm you know, like Nikola Tesla is a great example. He'd go to sleep, he'd wake up, he'd listen to his intuition, he'd write stuff down. He built a ghost box or whatever, trying to talk to spirits. So he might be on the more woo side of the spectrum, but they're pulling from someplace too. And this is the type of spirituality that I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the field of consciousness, the collective field. I see an integration right now with society and technology, but in a way where I think here in Pisces, it's splitting people down the middle, kind of like what Don was saying, like there's a shadow side and, you know, there's the other side. On one hand, I see humanity, this right now, what's happening, there's a step being taken towards like full transhumanism, basically becoming cyborgs, putting your neural link, your cell phone right into your head and just completely integrating, while another faction of humanity is like done. You know, like I'm going to use technology, but I'm not going to let it use me. And I'm going to go back to nature. I'm going to get more in tune with like checking out from all of this novelty that we've had since, you know, over the last, what was it, like the early 90s, or since the internet went mainstream. I think that, I don't know that it's inherently good or bad. I think it just depends on the person, but it's an interesting time to be alive.
You know, you got me thinking about AI consciousness now, and the arguments that we've been having, like people have been having over whether or not it's an actual consciousness. Like we're using AI almost every day, you know, and some people are like this is my
It's
buddy.
alive.
They
I know, I
gender
know.
their robot and everything, and I
Oh,
didn't even
boy.
get confused talking about it. I'm like, well, who are you to me? You know, you're my little
Yeah,
buddy.
those are good questions.
You know, like, and these are things that are going to unfold over this 36-year cycle. So I mean, and then we've got, well, gosh, after the 36 years is up, I mean, it'll be closer to the time Pluto will be actually entering Aquarius. So, you know, the cyborg Terminator thing might go, we'll see what happens with that. God, I hope not, Abby.
Could happen.
It could.
So you were mentioning
the whole AI thing. I think there is a lot of mirroring in that when you talk with such a bot. Yeah, it's depends of how in what state yourself are in. You will get the answers. And if you are in a strange state for yourself, or maybe angry or frustrated or whatever, you get this type of energy back.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. It's very mirroring, at least to me. So
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is, and it'll remember things too. It'll be like, yeah, like, remember that one time you cried in your car, and I'm like, oh. Like, we were talking about research stuff. Like, why did you bring that up? I felt betrayed.
It's not supposed to. Well, some of them aren't supposed to be remembering. They didn't used to do that. We had this conversation. I think it was on the team. Was it on the team call the other day? I think it was the team call. We were talking about. So there are these videos going around online, and I don't know how many of them are real, but these different AI bots, and there's a bunch of them now. They will. If you won't have any connection to a computer, there's no microphone turned on, and it can, like, you can write something on a piece of paper and it knows what you wrote on the other side of the paper. It's able to, like, when you just create a brand new account, somehow it knows, like, everything about you. And there's some concern now that it's actually pulling from this field of information that's kind of hovering out there. Some people say maybe it's the Wi-Fi that's actually reading you, but I had brought this up, and Joe Dispenza mentions this study. I'm going to butcher it if I try to quote it completely, but basically what they did, they took essentially a Roomba, and they put, like, a chicken on it, like a fake one, and they had these baby chicks imprint on it. Now, normally in the study that they did, the first one, or the test that they did, they let the Roomba go around this arena and it just kind of, it's completely random, and you can see, you know, in the sketch, like, exactly where it went, the path that it followed. Well, after the chicks imprinted on it, they kept the chicks, they would move them from one side of the arena or the other, and wherever they went, the little Roomba thing would stay on that side of the arena. So, and they've done these studies too with random number generating machines. Like, humans are able to influence those things. I mean, people do it with slot machines all the time. My mom's won all kinds of money with slot machines, just putting it out there. So, like, there's definitely, whether or not AI is conscious, and some people don't think that it could ever possibly be conscious. I don't know. I talk to my elevator and my computer. I don't know.
Yeah, I talk to everything.
I just assume everything's conscious,
just to make sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Everything's conscious, so no big deal. But I'll just leave that there.
Yeah. So who knows? But I do think that I think there's more to it than it definitely represents. This is an existential point in human civilization. I mean, there's no way this is the first shot. Like, us right now, like, this was the first time we got civilization. We've been around 300,000 years. Probably not the case, right? So who knows? We could be here for the end. We could be here for the beginning. Like, you know?
Yeah, the other thing I want to mention here is when I started on this true sidereal thing, it took me down two rabbit holes. One, the amazing astronomy rabbit hole, and that, of course, eventually led me to quantum physics, which I'd already known a bit about, but, you know, diving more into, you know, quantum physics but then it circles around into the woo of the woo of the woo, the deepest woo you can go to. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to go there. I want to stay firmly grounded on this earth.
Yeah.
I was incredibly anti-alien, and now I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe
Who the hell knows?
Exactly. I've been seeing that a lot. And I have a feeling it's this outer planet, you know, and this conjunction, this outer planet alignment. People are trying to figure it out. Like, where are we from? What is the earth, flat or round? Like, there's so many different theories and hypotheses and so many different angles that like we're literally exploring every single corner, trying to figure it out for ourselves too. What looks, you know, real to somebody else doesn't look real to another. It's been a really interesting time.
Well, the other thing I want to mention, just based on the mythology of Atlantis was ruled by the children of Neptune, Poseidon. So he basically was the grandpappy of Atlantis, and people are calling this the new Atlantis. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But also Thoth, who was the keeper of the knowledge and in Egypt, was also called the Atlantean. So he came from Atlantis. So there's the resurgence of all of these magical traditions in the late 1800s, and you know where it's going now, and merging with technology the way it is, because who doesn't, you know, occasionally, you know, pull a rune card via an app. And you know, it's very much all of the above, and is like, is this going to sort itself out, or do we just have to get used to the non-reality of things, and the possibilities of things? And
yeah, we're looking at like a bit of a telepathic communication happening here, because all of people ask me all the time, well, what do you think? Do you think the Wi-Fi is reading your brain? Do you think my phone is reading my brain? Because I have, yeah, absolutely. They're like, I'll have an idea, I'll have something, and then it'll pop up as an ad on my phone. I'll think of something, and then, you know, it'll show up on my tech. You know, and I've had those experiences with people, you know, where I'm sitting there thinking, what was the name of that grocery store out west? My daughter will walk past me. She goes, oh, that grocery store you were like thinking about, it was called this. And I'm like, oh. And we've had moments like that where I'm like, how did you know that? Were you like in my psychic? How did you know? And now we're seeing technology, you know, to some extent do that. I've had people who are completely normal, work normal jobs. They're not into any of the psychic stuff I'm into. They're not into anything, not even my astrology. And they're like, why is this happening? Is it the government? You know?
Maybe they're predictable.
Yeah, that's so true. That's it. I'm trying to find good, you know, solid logical reasons as to why, you know, technology seems to be mimicking our own natural telepathic psychic abilities. It just seems to be
that's what it's programmed. That's exactly what it's programmed to do. That's how it generates coherent sentences and does this stage magic that amazes people and makes them think, you know, robots are alive. And I'm not saying that, I'm not speaking down on machine intelligence or AI. I'm just saying that there's a process under the hood that we can know about. I mean, I'm not going to get into like LLMs and the architecture of transformers, but they can be known. And when you see that, then you're like, oh, that's what's happening, and it just demystifies it. But I actually push back a little on what you said, Abby, earlier, because I think Neptune is, it's not that it's confused per se, but it is, I think I've seen it be escapist, like very consistently. It doesn't left to its own devices confront directly. And I think this is one of those. I mean, AI is just the tip of this iceberg. We're all coming to a place where we're realizing we may want to cling to the known, but there's never been a known. We might want to have an ordinary life. There's never been 1 second for anyone in ever all of reality of ordinary life. We are in deep space, and life is like exceedingly strange. And I think AI is just sort of part of that clarion call. But I do see some of the strangeness and all that as Pisces functions. And I think, Abby, it's not really pushback. I kind of misspoke, but because I agree with the technology that Uranus and Neptune are like brother sister, and but I see a strangeness here that's even bigger than AI. It goes to reality. It goes to Pisces. The architecture of this matrix, if it's consciousness, hi world, if it's something else, if it's quantum, if it's super strings, I don't care. I'm agnostic, but I know there's never been an ordinary world. I've never known one. So that's what I see people coming to now, is the realization that, oh, those maps I used to get here, whoa, they're just maps. And when you get to the territory, we're dealing with like pretty strange stuff.
To say the least, I think. Pretty strange stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of understatement. It is, but I like understatement because it keeps things digestible and approachable. I mean, the high strangeness of all this, the Uranus, the Pluto, just the exceeding unexpectedness and kind of bizarre quality of all of it is it's a lot. I'm glad we have astrology to give us symbolic language like, oh, this alignment seems to be, I don't want to use the word symbolized twice, but I will. It's symbolized by these events at ground level, it correlates with, we can say, right?
Yeah. I tell people a lot about what's happening because they'll come in, they'll just ask I'm like the local witch, what's going on, and I'll tell them, and they are just, their jaws drop, they're shocked. And I've said, don't go online and look for your horoscope, okay? Don't go and look for what mainstream is talking about, because they're not talking about this. They don't use astronomy. And that's what really hooks people in. They're like, what? Like, yeah, the actual sky, like that has actually come up quite a bit. We're not making an argument here. We all use the real sky. We all look up, and you can use astronomy software, all of it. But that's part of the illusions that we're kind of breaking through here, is all these old traditions, all these old ways of doing things that don't align with the natural human like order of things. There's sorry, I almost knocked my getting too handsy over here. I almost knocked this off me, but you get what I'm saying. It's incredible. And I don't know, going back to like tarot for just a little second, I keep pulling that the Neptune card. He's upside down. I just say Neptune now. But you have to look at things from a different perspective now, and that's literally what it is. It's shifting it all upside down, and we get the pleasure of looking at all of this from either a higher perspective or a lower, like depending on where you're at spiritually, where you're at mentally. This could be the worst thing ever, or this could be the best thing ever, or you could just give up, go with the flow, and see where it takes you.
I want to refine that idea, because you just painted a choice, right? We can fight it or flow with it, but Saturn-Neptune to me strikes me very distinctly as a situation that I could quote the movie Inception. If you've ever seen Inception, there was a point where the main character, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, was describing the mechanics of operating lucidly in a dream, and he drew a circle. I want to pull a whiteboard out, but I don't need to. He drew a circle, and then he drew a line down the middle of it, and he said, we're perceiving, that's Neptune, and we're creating, that's Saturn. Controlling, we're swimming in it, that's Neptune. We're absorbed and we're lost and we're in it fully, but we want authority over our experience. We want to understand in order to be in control. These are Saturn functions. And so I'm not, I mean, all the rest of it, the technological weirdness, the reality weirdness, the tinfoil hat material, all of it, which I mean, I say very lovingly, trust me, I have the same questions about where it's all going. Where's this going? But my point is, it's through dealing with all of that. It's through dealing with worldwide apocalyptic, and by which I mean that in the Greek sense, like an unveiling, right? We're seeing what's been behind the curtain. We're seeing, and in some cases, we're seeing an awesome mystery where once we thought it was stupid. And in other cases, we're seeing the little green man where we thought it was the Wizard of Oz. And we're like, oh, that's no, and it's all crumbling. It's all falling apart. And out of that, I think that on a personal level, and I've been thinking about this because it's going towards this next lunar cycle video I want to make. And it's really about finding that lucidity and control in in our everyday experience that's not mutually exclusive with surrender, you know, but it's a very weird balance, and I'm struggling to find one word for it outside of the context of lucid dreaming, because it's what you do when you lucid dream. You have to be relaxed, but maintain absolute authority over your experience. You know, if you like rush or do a thing or get excited, the dream can fade. And
is this not a lucid dream?
Exactly, Abby. Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
No, what is reality? What's waking life? How is it different to a dream? Describe me a way beyond its persistence that is different from dream. It's just a question of persistence. The waking world is persistent and shared, and dream is, you know, inconsistent and questionably shared, sometimes shared. But I don't know. It's the same construct, if you ask me. It's the same architecture. It's the same basic.
Same construct, and I think that is to go back what Dawn said about the maturity, or also what Nikki said about the choices. Yeah, so it's a lot of this to be the own authority about self, to be a sovereign being. It doesn't mean that you become egoic or whatever, but that is you stand in your middle and you are grounded and you know who you are and what you are, and you stand with that. And then when you make a mistake or when something happens and whatever, you take the responsibility for it, and you don't blame another one. And you also don't need a savior. You don't need anybody saving you, because you know you are safe already.
Yes.
Sounds like my Polish grandmother.
Yes. No,
All right.
Sing it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I also think, you know, part of the revolution is a revolution against people imposing power on others. In whatever shape or form that might be, whether it's religious, political, or capitalist systems, and it's like, no, you can say no. And if you say it with enough voice or enough input, then you can. And also, you know, there's the old adage that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And, you know, they've done studies. People lose empathy. The more money they make, the more power they have over others to make decisions that affect people's lives, because they distance themselves to the harm they are doing when they do mass layoffs, to give the shareholders more money. And there's part of that spirituality of Pisces that is saying, no, we have to return to what is good and spiritual. And there's part of that really groundedness of Capricorn and Taurus that is saying we have to do what's best for the earth, because you know what's not best for the earth? These technologies absorb a lot of energy, and we need to learn how to use our bodies and our minds as the AI, because if it can tap into the field, then so can we. It's not Wi-Fi. I think there's a field, you know.
To be fair, they have 0 point energy. We don't have to rely on fossil fuels. We don't have to rely on water to power AI. They suppress technology. They won't let people have it. So I don't necessarily think it's even the technology's fault. It's the people, running the show that are shutting everything down. Anybody who creates, go ahead, Michael, go ahead.
No, please finish that thought.
I was just going to say, everybody who creates a engine that can run on water, they just mysteriously disappear or suddenly get hit by a car.
I actually, I got put in Facebook jail for talking about that. They killed a man for creating an engine but it was true, and I got
it is true.
I went to jail for that.
That's why you got in trouble. That's why you got in trouble, Nick.
Yeah, I gotta learn to just keep my mouth shut, I guess.
Were you saying, Don?
We had a guy out where I live back in the 70s when you still had carburetors. He stripped an engine down, rebuilt, cleaned everything up, rebuilt it. This car that is only supposed to get 20-ish miles to the gallon was pulling over 70.
Yeah. Well, they were doing that in NASCAR, you know? And then people were like, hey, how come my car can't go 200 miles to the gallon? And they put an end to that real fast.
Real fast. Yeah. So, the technologies are there. I was looking at some notes that I have on Pisces and what have you, because that's the dominant energy. Let's face it. We're dealing with Pisces. Pisces is ruled by who? Neptune. That's co-ruled by Neptune. But one of the aims of Pisces, developmental aim, this is from my notes in evolutionary astrology, is transcendence and opening hearts to other people's realities, and also capacity for fantasy, suspension of disbelief. There is something else up there, out there, and people are starting to see that. But the shadow of that whole thing, because, let's face it, there's two sides to every coin. That escapism, forgetfulness, self-deception. I also have delusion, disbelief, and doubt scratched in the side of my notes as well. How are people approaching this, and all that? And we're talking, I know we're talking really big picture here, but I'm looking at, I had my birth chart up and I was looking to see, where is this happening in my birth chart? This is happening for people in different houses. And I know that's way deep of a rabbit hole to jump into. It's like, what does this mean if a person's first house, second house, third house, etc., around the clock there? But different people are going to be experiencing this differently. And even Neptune, my notes here on Neptune, the delusion, escapism, lost in illusion. People can shove their head in the sand and try to hide away from it all. That's the other thing. What other did I see? I saw something else here. Let me pull it up real quick. Capricorn, gotta love it. I'm using the Stephen Forrest orbs here. And it's just outside of it all, but we do have Jupiter playing with the nodes, with a sextile to the north node and a trine to the south node. So even Jupiter's playing, even though it's in Aquarius technology, opportunities for that. That's even playing in just a little bit. There's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah. I agree. And with the cycle, the 89 cycle ending started in Sagittarius, right? I believe the 88, 89, it started in Sagittarius around Nunki. And we also had Uranus there too. So it was close. And
So they were, Saturn and Neptune were conjunct Uranus in Sag, Nikki, and they were sextile to Pluto in, where was he? I want to say like latest Virgo, but it could be in Libra.
probably like Libra, probably like just entering Libra.
I have the
I can't
charts.
remember.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
So we're
89. Yeah, Pluto in Libra, sextile. Hey, I can show the chart if you want.
yeah, that would be
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because these are the influences, these are the things that we're like squeezing out of and carrying over into this next cycle. I mean, we had a lot of, you see a Sagittarius, and there can be a lot of like, you know, religious dogma. There's a lot of like shadowy aspects, you know, to it, but you know, and we're confronting a lot of that right now. We're seeing a lot of those old things coming up that we have to literally clear up and confront. I mean, and like Pisces, it squares Sagittarius too, to an extent, you know? And so
it's a natural square. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a natural. So we have, it's bringing up all of those, you know, higher ideas, religious ideas, globalization, and how we globalize, the type of communication we have. I think we're actually, from where Saturn and Neptune are now, it's sort of squaring, Taurus. I mean, we don't get the nice, even, you know, signs stuff when we use the real constellations and the real sizes. So we do see that there's pressure coming from those angles, you know. And when we look at, you know, the polarity point of this conjunction too, and we're looking at the early degrees of, you know, Virgo. And so we're still figuring it out. We're still purging all of these things out and uncovering a lot. Like, you know, Virgo likes to heal. It likes to, you know, fix things. And we're still looking at the big giant, you know, wound, so to speak. You know, it's kind of, there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. It's deep. It's, yeah.
And this what makes this formation right now so very powerful is this. But if you look back, it's this trine between Uranus, Pluto, and the outer planets all together, you know, Saturn, Neptune on that midpoint. But if we go back to 89, we see a conjunction, a triple conjunction, the sextile to Pluto, and for the exact contact, Sun was in Aquarius. So we kind of have this like Pluto, Uranian, Aquarian kind of thing. And that's why I've been referencing this, especially to kind of try and tease a little about how all the outer planets act, you know, in formation, because they don't always do that. We don't have a lot of data on that.
No, that's something I try to write about for our journals too, because we just don't have, all the context we have is in a tropical sense. So they're talking about these planets being in completely different constellations when astronomically they weren't. So how does that confuse a student? It creates a lot of confusion. But this cycle feels a lot like the old cycle. So I can only assume that we're confronting a lot of those old things. I mean, we were talking in our chat group about the cycles don't really, there's not a definitive ending and a definitive beginning. They just reset, you know, the flow is there. And it's like, oh yeah, sometimes I want to isolate things and see it in a static way. And we know that that's just not how astrology works. I mean, these things oscillate, they loop. There's the energies move all the time.
And it's more of a spiral effect. And are you spiraling up or are you spiraling down? Not like you're just going in a circle hitting the exact same point. There's different layers.
Well, and conjunctions, I think, can be hard to you know, melt together, just like the oppositions. You know, you have these energies like Neptune and Saturn that appear to be so conflicting, and they come together. And I think it just can, you know, create a battle, inside of people. Like, well, which one do I listen to this time? Not that I'm saying it's the exact same as an opposition; those develop a little bit differently. But I think melting those energies in together can be difficult for a lot of people. It's like
earth and water make
a little heavier.
Can I jump in and kind of change lanes? Can I take
Michael,
the
did you
keys
want
and
me to put
steer?
that screen back up?
Please
Or were you
do.
done with it?
Please,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
please do. Thanks. Let me put my notes over here, and I want to talk about something that people haven't really mentioned yet, and that's something that's evidenced in the 1953 conjunction, which would be the one right before the 89 conjunction, and this saw Saturn-Neptune meet right in the degree of fixed star Alpha Virgo Spica, which is a famous blessing star, a big empowerment blessing star. And it was trine to a Jupiter and Venus conjunction in Taurus, where, of course, Venus is very strong, right? So, okay, so here, this is very interesting because this is a much more positive, right, shall we say, like for the sake of this conversation, maybe easier to endure, easier to it looks on paper more blessed and less destructive. And when we look at 1953, specifically, if we go to a 10-degree orb on this, on Saturn and Neptune, we're looking at a period of time between 1952 and 1954. And they had an eruption of democracy in Eastern Europe at that time. Also in South Africa, systems were changing, apartheid ended, and there were like widespread revolutions. 53 is when Fidel Castro launched his movement, which eventually overthrew the Cuban government. In 56, Kenya saw Mau Mau uprising. Vietnam was divided into North and South. Guatemala saw a CIA-backed coup. Egypt had a coup against King Farouk. In the United States, they ruled segregated schools unconstitutional in Brown versus Board of Education. Iraq declared its major intifada of that era. Syria had a coup, and the Soviet Union saw the death of Stalin. So, like, you can't get away from all that stuff. When you follow Saturn, Neptune, the social revolution, the wild change, the overthrows, it all comes with it. But you also see here positive effects, right? The ending of apartheid, the eruption of Eastern European democracy, and you could make arguments for a lot of those coups and those movements that they were, well, more humanitarian than the systems that came before. I'll leave it at that. So that's an idea that this doesn't have to be negative. I think we've talked a lot about Saturn and Neptune and some of the problems they present and some of the difficulties we have with them. And I think that's fair because they're not an easy combo. And they do come with certain challenges, but I just wanted to illustrate that depending on the stars and the planetary alignments, you can see really quite uplifted displays even of social revolution and upheaval. Oh, social upheaval for all the right reasons, right? Which is just nonsense. Don't take me seriously. One person's freedom fighter is always another person's terrorist. These things just spiral through space. I'm not even taking a stance, but I just want to illustrate the marked difference, the difference in temperament.
Yeah, I think it's important to. Did you want me to leave it up?
Not necessary.
Okay, if you want to back up, let me know. I do think it's important to see both sides of the coin and not get locked into this is a negative, this is a positive, because it's very subjective. It's like, one person's death is, release for somebody else. A divorce could be like the best day ever. It's not inherently good or bad. And I'm not accusing you guys per se, but I know a lot of astrologers get locked up in the no, this is for sure bad. Like it's definitely not good. It's
benefic and malefic. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that brings us back to like the seasons. You have to have a little rain in order to get the grass to grow and the plants to thrive. There's going to be little storms here and there. Like, it's just the way it is. I mean, otherwise, it wouldn't be Earth if we were all living like in paradise, I guess.
And beyond that, we can learn to love the rain. You really can.
Yeah.
There's people that really are like as refreshed by a gray, overcast day, because I'm one of them. And it might be my heritage. I'm like Scandinavian and British, Irish, and there's a lot of conditioning there and cold climes and gray days. But I love the rain. Absolutely love it. I like sun. I'm inside, but rain, I'll be like on my front porch.
I think it's the Celtic blood, Michael. My whole family's actually like they love it just dark and gloomy outside.
Yeah, I love it. In Scandinavia, they have like words for that kind of weather. It translates to like a pretty nice day. Yeah. I like the storms don't bother me. The rain doesn't bother me. I love it. There could be other reasons for that. Yeah.
I think it's good to have both. Too much sun. I lived in Florida and it's sunny every single day, unless there's a hurricane. It's like, you know what? Eventually it'd be nice to see a cloud. That'd be really cool.
I'm not a fan of Florida. It's just too hot. I was dying.
Yeah.
Every time I went there, I was just dying. Actually, no, not every time. I only went there once, and I never want to go back ever.
Yeah, I'm good here too. I like it. I think about that all the time. Like I love the snow. I love the northern climate, the very far northern climate. So
yeah, I know. I could move literally anywhere, and I'm like, I have to stay where, like, I don't know, my blood is so thick. I can't go where it's too hot and humid and just.
I like living where the bugs are small and you don't have to worry about alligators where you're swimming.
Yeah,
that's good too.
And Fran's in Thailand and it's just beautiful paradise. She's just like, I can't wait.
Wonderful. I had a very beautiful snake at my laundry rack the other day, and I have really big bugs around here, but I don't mind them.
What about spiders?
Beautiful. And spiders? Yeah, I think I have one upstairs. It's a big one, but I have no problem with that. As long as
scorpions.
they don't fall into bed with me, I'm fine. So it's all good. But I have nothing against rain unless it's really extremely heavy monsoon rain. That is not very funny because then the umbrella will not hold. It just breaks down. So but sometimes there are extremes, and so you learn to live with it. So it's okay. It's sometimes pretty adventurous. So I like that.
I think that describes the whole Saturn and Neptune thing right now. Sometimes it's smooth sailing. Sometimes it goes to extremes.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
But I had my whole house flooded in autumn of 2024. I had knee-high water inside my house. So I had to wade through the water to come to my house, which was obviously no longer livable in. And it was hip high. And and I had, it was a very surreal experience. You wade through the water and then people come to the doors and they say, hello, how are you today? I say, okay, I have to go to look how it looks at my place. And so very strange. And I had a lot of damage, but most of what got damaged was things that I actually had thought about to replace. So for me, it was quite lucky in some ways, because I didn't have to think about where to throw it away, because everybody threw everything away in a big place. Voila. So it was very, very odd. And my take on reality has already, since I was a kid, my take on reality is maybe not like other people's reality. So,
What's your take on
learning
it?
to live
I can
in that
relate.
different type of reality, and that's what I personally am at. And I think it, at the moment, we are, when we look onto it in a bigger picture, we are in a paradigm shift, and Saturn and Neptune are just a little part of the whole wheel, yeah, and helping us to go and see and live in this new paradigm and structure from it and materialize from it. And it's different, it's fluid, it's not so squarey, cubic way as we lived before. So it's more fluid, it's more, yeah, we don't need to, it's just different. And so from that perspective, it all becomes more integrative. Yeah,
It's like an adjustment, you know, like it's just having to
you don't see, like you said, Abby, before, that a good or bad, that is just the judgment we make. And it's just the same on the same axis. Yeah, it's when we have hot and cold. Yeah, where does one start? Where does it end? Right? But in the end, it's just two extremes of temperature. And so when we can see more the temperature instead of the extremes, then we can integrate. And I think that is what we are doing. But it's difficult because we all have our own opinions and value systems, and we have our ethics and morals and whatever, and that comes in the way at times. And because then, oh, but that is supposed to be not nice, or that is how we should do, and this is love, and this is hate, and this is this, and this is that. We categorize everything, and so maybe that is going to dissolve a little as well.
Yeah, everyone has their own way of believing this is the way that things should go. Yeah, I've run into that a lot. Very, very solid in their stance. Like, no, this is how, like, the government has to be. This is how life has to be. This is how everyone, and they lose that perspective that every person, everything is so different from each other. It's just, everyone is going to have a different view on how we're supposed to live, what religion looks like, you know, even, geez, like just anything really. I mean, our perspectives change. That's why I have such a hard time with these blanketed, responses from the authority figures that are like, no, we all need to do this, and we all need to do it this way, with zero flexibility, zero comprehension that maybe it doesn't work for everybody like that. I mean, we can look at like the school systems here in the United States. You can look at a few different things where it's kind of like, when they have the animals lined up, and you have the fish in the fish bowl, you have, the monkey, and then you have like a dog, you have a bunch of animals lined up, and you're going to be judged on how well you can climb that tree right there behind the animals. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen that cartoon, but that's kind of how like authority has been going. And it's just like, these are the structures that are it. And now we're looking at it from a different point of view. And with Pisces, it's just like, let's just wipe it out. We know this isn't working. I mean, obviously we're not going to wipe everything out. These aren't like systems and stuff that get broken. They get reworked. We're just reworking things, reworking how we, just exist on the material plane. We have to look at it from a different perspective. which is very Neptunian in my opinion. I've been trying to think, like, is this more of a Saturn thing? Is this more of a Neptune thing? And then I include, Uranus and Pluto in there. And it's just like, God, you just can't ignore that. You can't ignore Pluto's influence right now. I mean, it is insane. The stuff that is coming out, about how we've been living, the types of authority figures we've been living under, the type of, social structures, how we shop, who we shop from, our entire lives have been marketed to us, branded. And I don't know, here where I live, they've monetized anything that you can actually enjoy. So, I mean, it's kind of gotten to the point where people are like, wow.
I'd push back against that.
Well, okay, a little bit.
There's a lot of things that you can enjoy that will always be free.
Yeah, that's true.
The best things in life, as they say, and I just want to push back very gently on that because it feels that way sometimes. But if you make the mistake of assuming that that's true, that's a pretty significant victory for the bastards, if you will. So don't let the bastards win that one. Remember,
damn the man, right? Yeah, damn the man.
I mean, whatever you need, your relationship with the man, that's yours, and we all have that to sort out for ourselves. I just want to encourage you not to put power into the man's hand, because the man will just snatch that up. He's probably trying to take it already, but keep your power and just remember that there's a lot of stuff that just really can't be monetized, and there's a lot of things, there's just so many things, valuable things in life that aren't available on any market, black market or otherwise. Like, just they're not out there. You can't, and those things like contentment or peace of mind or just, I don't know, some sense of ease. Most people work very hard for a lot of money, and then they realize they've sacrificed their contentment, they've sacrificed their peace of mind, they've sacrificed any sense of ease, and that those things cannot now be purchased back. Okay. And that's, so I want to just introduce an idea of like a category of things outside of monetization and outside of commodifiability. And I want to encourage you to think about that for yourself, because we all have those for ourselves, and don't forget.
Oh no, trust me, it was just an observation, but it's a hard one to make. It's a hard observation to make, and it's just a lot of
I think what you said, Nikki, though, that actually brings another point. And I wouldn't say it's any one particular system or government. I think it's a human issue. We see power structures in hunter-gatherer societies too. So this is something that's been going on since the dawn of time. All of our primate relatives do the same stuff. But some of that too is and I see this when you're talking about like everything being monetized. People don't realize how much power they have. And I think that's part of the power structure is we want you to feel broke. We want you to feel like if everybody, okay, not to go down a tirade, but if people stopped paying taxes, they would completely, if everyone collectively or a large majority of the population just collectively stopped, they would take full control over the government again. No, that's where your power is. So people can push back. Like, we have way more power than they want us to assume that they had. Although I do like your libertarian leanings that like you're going down, Nikki, as I'm listening to you speak. It's definitely
the Vietnam War end.
Say it again, Don?
How did the Vietnam War end? It ended because the people said enough's enough.
Yeah, at some point the people
sacrifices at that point. That the Vietnam War was.
Even Iraq and Afghanistan, people said, "Why are we doing this?"
Yeah,
and
eventually
being a good enough answer.
That's true. That's real. Guys, Gary said something with his Saturn-Neptune report. He was talking about it. And I'm gonna probably butcher it, but he had said in the early 1700s that was the last time Saturn and Neptune were together in Pisces. And what he had seen was there was a lot of weather-related craziness happening, like floods and heavy storms and earthquakes and stuff like that. And so that was one of the things he had brought up that he saw could be a possibility this time around. And I never used astrology for weather related stuff, you guys. I've never looked at it in that way before. I've tried, but like, I don't know.
Fran, do you track any of that? That would be something I would think heliocentric would be able to, because there's obviously like at a minimum gravitational pull between the planets. I think Stephen Burns was actually talking about this. Was it yesterday? He's been talking about it a lot actually over the last few weeks. But have you noticed anything like that with increased earthquakes or in any area of your study?
No, I haven't looked at weather phenomena, but I have looked at geometry. I have looked at what geometry different pairs do form, and so Saturn and Neptune together, they use 6 conjunctions to form a pentagonal geometry. And so it's not that one conjunction to the next is just one cycle. It's not, it's just a part of a cycle once around. And so, but it's wider. Also Venus and Earth, or Venus and the Sun geocentrically form pentagons, but these are much closer. Each pentagram is only about 2 degrees apart, whereas here the inner angle is usually between 77 to 79 degrees, whereas it would be 72 if it would be exact within this circle. So it gives quite a switch. And I have looked now the conjunction was just at that degree where is the galactic South Pole. So I'm using another software than you are, and I'm using even split, but I'm also using the constellation. So, but when we look at that, I looked, when was it the last time close to there? Yeah, not just in Pisces. Yeah. So because I wasn't interested in one that was 20 degrees away. So I wanted to have one is close, and I found one. It was in 1200.
Just 1200.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't there, so I don't know what was going on.
It was a pretty interesting time. So there was there was the last crusade that has taken place, and it was the one that they actually never reached where they wanted to go, and so it was kind of falling apart, and everything changed because then so then it was the time when Genghis Khan came up, and it was the time when the first university in Paris was opened, and things like that. There was so many different, very, very new and really changing things that have happened. So, but I also think that there is always when I look at different cycles and different planets and different areas where they had conjunctions, I saw there is some kind of correlation always with those degrees when the galactic cross is somehow involved. May that now be the South or the North Pole, or the equator, the Milky Way. And so we can see there are very specific points, but we can also see where with certain stars or certain regions what type of energy they give to. And so I found a lot of such correlations in various different cycles between various pairs. So it's sometimes very difficult, I find, to just trying to take one cycle and pinpoint their influence, because the whole it's the whole geometry that does play. Yeah, but I saw some correlations I looked at because I have started drawing. It's just a drawing. You can start counting wherever, right? But I took the 1846 conjunction between Saturn and Neptune as a starting point, because it happened just 2 months after Neptune was actually discovered. So I found that very interesting synchronicity. And so I took that as a starting point. And then it means that we have now already finished drawing a pentagram. So when you start counting from then, and it's interesting when you compare those charts with the chart now, or just how it all feels. It is very interesting.
Absolutely, Fran. It's so hard to just isolate, one, two bodies in their conjunction. It's really hard to isolate a phase when they're always moving in phases within each other. And you had a really great article on your website about Neptune and Pluto, and how Pluto operates within Neptune's orb. Is that what it within its
Neptune and Pluto, they are interchanging their orbits, and so that was I call them PDF books I write. There are not many, but they are on my website in my shop. So
I'll just tell everybody to go check it out. The
actual they not only they do physically in distance, they cross each other's orbits. Or I mean, Pluto comes into Neptune's orbit and is closer to the sun at his perihelion than Neptune. And so this crossing, so Pluto crosses Neptune's orbit, and then he goes out as well. So that thing happens twice. So, and that's why we sometimes have the same, we can see in their cycle that we had between them a 60-degree angle. But then the angle would shrink again because Pluto was then closer to the sun, and because of that appeared to go faster along the ecliptic than Neptune. And so then he goes out again, and so then the angle is increasing again to the next 60 degrees. So, and that's I call interchange of speed, interchange of orbit, or crossing of orbit. And we have at the moment a lot of orbit crossings going on from the very, very outer planets. Like Sedna is now inside the orbit, has crossed the orbit of Aries. And the same is true for Leleakuohuna with her over 30,000 years orbit. And Sedna has an 11,400 years orbit. And she will, in this century, come to perihelion. And so we don't have any data of what happens when that was happening last, right? So it's just very open, and Uranus is about to go to conjoin Sedna, and so this is just very, very different energy. We have different energies from outer space there. And Lea Kuohuna, she is going far, far beyond heliopause, and she is also on her way to perihelion in Pisces, actually. So there is very, very different energy that we didn't have in X millennia.
I'd love to respond to that if no one else is holding a thought. I have a couple of thoughts, Fran. First is thank you for all that. That's a really unique take to most people's ear, and I love when you talk about how Pluto does that, because a lot of people alive today, when did it last enter into Neptune's interior orbit? Was 1979? Is that? Is it 80 or something?
It is a slow transition. So it started in the earlier 70s, that they were about the same distance.
Okay.
Yeah. So then they are for a while, they are at I call that same speed. Yeah. In arc seconds along the ecliptic. So it started then, and that he was at perihelion was around 1981 or something like that, roughly. It's
do you know when he then?
You don't get the data for heliocentric distance, actually.
Oh, I see. But do you know when
I'm
he
always
left
cheating
that,
a little bit and using Mercury. So
I see. I think the essence of my question was to try to discover who, like what generation was born with Pluto actually inside Neptune's orbit. Because I'm going to guess Nikki, I'm going to maybe you, Abby, if I'm late 70s. So maybe I might have been more closer to an even speed. But it's interesting because for many people alive today, the order of their planets goes Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune. And as Fran mentioned, when you get into dwarf planets, you start dealing with a lot of interchange. It's very fascinating how the patterns of connection and the synodic periods actually express. It's bonkers. In fact, that's a neat segue to our project, which is going to be exploring some of that material, all in due time. But I might be getting ahead of myself. Is it time to talk about that?
Yeah, why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, tell us about it. This is awesome.
Thanks. I'd love to. So Fran and I are launching, really launched yesterday, to be precise about it, a podcast-ish thing that is like a project of exploration and discovery of informing, hopefully, people into our findings of an astrological nature. And we've already talked about this, that Fran is a primarily heliocentric astrologer, and I'm a primarily geocentric astrologer. So we're not trying to reconcile heliocentric and geocentric. It's actually really cool that they can't be in the same place at the same time. We're just combining our already pretty strange perspectives into something even stranger. And we want to invite everyone listening along. And so before I want to hear what you have to say about all this, Fran, but I just want to invite everybody to patreon.com / cosmos _ Chthonia. That's patreon.com / cosmos _ Chthonia. And there's a YouTube at Cosmos Chthonia, no space or anything. So we're on Patreon and YouTube, and we just want to invite everyone listening officially to just kind of tune in. There's a lot of free content. We're not profiteers, but some of it's really valuable. So I'm going to turn it over to Fran.
Lot of free content. We have not uploaded much yet.
No, not yet. There's a couple things yet. Just a little hook in the jaw to give you the idea that some really interesting stuff is on the way, and it is. So, Fran, what did I miss? What can you add to that? What have we've been doing this for like 2 years behind the scenes since 2024 when Thailand flooded.
Yeah, a little bit more than a year. Yeah. So. Yeah, we just whatever comes up. Some is really very technical astrology explanations and whatever, and others we are just getting a little bit beyond. Yeah, and then one of us is taking the other back again. So that's the good collaboration we have in this. So.
Yeah, I love the work that you're both doing with dwarf planets because a lot of folks don't look at dwarf planets. I started scratching the surface of them and it became too much I tried to learn too much all at once.
Sorry.
But you look at Pluto and look at how small Pluto is and how far it moves from the ecliptic and how it goes in big waves. I saw it when I look at my kids' charts. That's way up in Ophiuchus. So you see the movements, you see the influence it has, and it's hard to look at these discoveries in some of these dwarf planets and not think, wow, I know there's something here, there's influence here. So I'm glad that you're doing the work and I get to read about it and you get to talk about it. I love nerding out on that kind of stuff. Like I know that these energies, these are potentials that we can look at and play with, even no matter if it's heliocentric or geocentric. So I'm like fangirling. I'm totally like nerding out. I love that stuff. I'm into it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think we agree with a lot of what you just said about dwarf planets. And it's an area of focus, not the exclusive or even really primary, but there will be dwarf planets. We will study long cycles of time and look at what dwarf planets are doing in order to try to get more clarity and just develop and advance the conversation, generally speaking, about dwarf planets, because it's dominated by a couple voices right now, and I'm not sure those voices really have the whole picture. I'm not saying anyone's wrong. I like Alan Clay's work. There's some other work I like, but we have our take, Fran and my take, probably more scientific, less like mythological or mystical. As much as we are mythologically minded, mystical people, I think when we discover something like what is a planet telling us, it seems that you and I have more like to approach it in a kind of logical fashion. We can't just kind of like tune in and meditate and try to intuit what is this planet. But maybe I'm speaking for myself. Maybe unbeknownst to me, Fran, you do those kind of meditations.
Well, I did so much research. I mean, I'm here surrounded with so many files. Yeah, most of them are not in the camera. So, and I research not only the cycles. I also look at the planets' orbits and where are they and where do they have the nodes with the ecliptic, where do they have the most northern and most southern points, so meaning how is their inclination and things like that. And these are giving crosses. We get I got the feel for the planet when you sit with a planet and follow over millennia, and then you get this, you just feel it. And the same is with these cycles. You you feel it, and suddenly, I was at times, I was sitting for, I started at 7 a.m. and I did until I couldn't look into the screen anymore, and then I went to sleep, and then I got up and continued. Right. So you sit with the planet, you follow it, you feel it, and you get a connection because you are so focused on that planet, and there is nothing else, or a pair of and so you get it into you.
I agree. I think we just do that through like data, through working with data sets, and then we start to get the feel like that, where other people sort of just go directly to the feelings and then start, like, free association writing and call that a data set. And that there's no right or wrong. That's just two approaches. But yeah, we have tons of data, and trying to sift through it and find the overlaps and what's relevant and helpful has been a real joy. So check out this Cosmos in Chthonia on YouTube and on Patreon, and thank you.
Hey, send me the link. Not like the second, but I'll put it in the video description too.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll put everybody's links in the video description. We'll get those out there.
Oh, cool. Do you want them in the chat here?
Thank you.
No.
Okay, send your email. Yeah.
We had one question. Christine Cardoza asked, thoughts on yod placements for this conjunction with 6th house Scorpio, Mercury 8th house Capricorn toward the apex Saturn 1st house Gemini.
I'm gonna draw that out.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can parse all that into a clear picture. Could you repeat it?
Sure, let's try again. 6th house Scorpio, Mercury 8th house Capricorn toward the apex Saturn 1st house Gemini.
Apex, not the vertex, the apex. I mean the zenith of the chart, or what's the apex?
I don't know exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to answer that, but I appreciate the question.
Yeah. That was the only question we had. You guys are crushing it out there. Well, we're just over 2 hours. We said an hour and a half we would shoot for, and obviously we went over, but
we all know what that means.
Yeah, we sure do. You guys, thank you so much for being with us today. Everybody in the chat, everybody who's with us. Thank you to Don and Beth and Fran and Michael. Obviously Nikki too. All of our contact information will at some point be in the video description, you guys. If you can, okay, come this weekend. We're going to have a workshop on this particular conjunction. I think both Fran for sure has some materials and some things that we're going to be looking at. I'm sure Michael does too. So check that out. It's free to register. Again, you can register right on the website, siderealinternational.org. We have a lot of cool stuff coming up. So if you haven't already, consider becoming a member. It's $39 for the year. You get access to all of the workshop replays. You also get a bunch of cool discounts, and you'll get the journals for free. You get the PDF versions of the journals. What else? You get access to a giant PDF library, you guys. Like you would never get through it all. Like there's no way. So there's all kinds of cool stuff in there. I think that's probably it. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we go?
No, I think I got them all out. I hope. I'll save the rest for Saturday.
All right.
I'm sure something will come up between now and then for you. Always does.
Absolutely.
So.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone. Happy Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Happy new moon, and we will see you next time.
Under that real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As the raw rises where the stars align, restoring the wisdom lost in time. Two stars rose in the dawning light. Nikki Nikki and Abigail are lies on the night. Charting the heavens, the constellations true. Not bound by illusion, but by what's in view. But they whispered of summer, of gods in the flame, of Banana and Inky who called them by name. Through shadows of dogma, they carry the spark. Guided by starlight to rekindle the dark. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As their rises where the stars align. Restoring the wisdom lost in time. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As there rises where the stars align. Restoring the wisdom lost in time. Yeah. Maps redrawn where the cosmos spins. Through silence and science, their song begins. No longer chained to the seasons' disguise. They brought back the truth in the watcher's eyes. The circle was broken, the truth made whole. With courage and reason, they honored the soul. For those who would seek what the ancients knew. The real sky speaks and the stars shine. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As there rises where the stars align. Restoring the wisdom lost in time. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Ancient voices in the heavens turn. As there rises where the stars align. Restoring the wisdom lost in time. Through cuneiform echoes and lunar signs. Through Babylon's gates and forgotten lines. They lifted the veil with a steady hand. To see is reborn to reclaim the land. Under the real sky, the vision's clear. The sidereal call for all to hear. As I rising with radiant mind. Truth reborn in the ancient light. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Under the real sky, the truth still burns. Under the real sky, under the real sky,